Okay. So just before the break, we saw how exactly SSMS can be used to connect to SQL Server instance, how we log in, the different authentication modes that are available, then how to create a database, how to create a table. While creating tables, how to define the columns and data types and the constraints, the basic constraints. And then we learned something about SP tables to see the metadata of the table. And complete detailed metadata is provided by SP help. And then the select statement, the most basic one we saw. So we did all this thing via code, correct?
Yes.
And we discussed that after the break, we will be talking about all the same things once again, but with the help of designer, correct?
Yeah.
And for that reason, we deleted our Providence DB database. And then we went for the break. Yes. If you have not yet deleted, just right click your database, select delete, select close existing connections checkbox and click OK. And make sure your database Providence DB is deleted. Yes.
Yes.
Now, steps will be the same. Just that instead of writing the code, the script, we will be using the designer to get the things done. Our first step was to create a database by the name Providence DB. Right, I just copy this name here and then right click on databases on the left hand side and select new database. Everyone getting the screen?
Yeah.
So can you repeat it again? What should you do?
Just right click on the databases in the Object Explorer
Yeah,
and
next.
select new database.
Yeah.
So once you select new database, you should be on the screen.
Yeah, yes. It is visible.
Yes, everyone getting it?
Yes.
Is the name that you copied or just type it, Providence DB, in the database name field. Owner, I'm saying default, so DBO is the owner, and hence my objects in this database by default will go to the DBO schema. Schema will discuss shortly. Done?
Yes.
Now here in the lower section, you have a tabular view. Something about database files. I can see there are two names being used there. Providence DB, same as the database name, and then Providence DB underscore log. File type for the first one is rows data. The second is log. What do you understand by this? In SQL Server, whenever you create a database by code or by using designer, practically there are two files by default which are created. One with the name of the database followed by .mdf as extension. MDF, that stands for master data file. Just make a note. It contains all of your data, all of your objects which you create. Tables, views, stored procedures, functions, triggers, indexes, rules, even the logins also. Everything gets stored in this file. Understood?
Yes.
The second file, it shows the file type as log. Any idea, any guess what it must be holding?
Maybe the actions performed on the database.
Correct. So whatever the queries, the statements you are running, whatever actions you're taking, everything gets recorded so that if your database file itself gets corrupted, with the help of this log data, you can recover most of the stuff. So it's more of a disaster recovery preparedness. Understood? File
Yes.
group in detail, if you study this file group with respect to SQL Server, it's more of a logical entity which defines within which files at which location ideally this database will be placed, or this file will be the part of which file group, where file group defines on which device the file will be created. You may have multiple hard disks in a server system, right? And then that file group is not applicable for log. It will be going on the primary hard disk on which the SQL Server is installed. Then there is initial size in MB, 8 for both of them. What do you understand by this? By default, the file for
Megabytes.
the database and the log that is created will be 8 MB in size. Both files will be 8 MB. And once the data starts coming in, transaction logs start getting created, more space would be required, correct? So the file automatically grows as per the current requirement. So whenever it grows, on what basis it should grow? That is answered by the next column, auto growth, max size. By this, what do you understand? So if 8 MB gets full, automatically additional 64 MB size will be added. The file will grow by 64 MB. So total 72 MB it will become. Once 72 MB is consumed and more data is coming in, it will grow by another 64 MB. So 72 plus 64 and so on. And then max size is set as unlimited. Means what? There is no upper limit. It can grow up to any length, any size. If you want to change, you can change it here. Whether the auto growth should be enabled or not. If yes, whether it is going to be in percentage of the current size or by a fixed size. And then maximum file size. If you want to restrict the database growth up to, let's say 500 GB, you can specify that. If you don't want to limit it, you can go ahead with unlimited. So that's the default. Here also we can specify that. If you explore create database syntax, you will find that all these parameters can be given in this statement as well. If you don't give any of these options or parameters, it just chooses the default values, which are these only. And then the path where the files will be created actually. If you want to give a specific file name, you can give it here. If you don't give anything, you leave this blank, it will choose the logical name by default. Understood?
Sir, in auto growth, it like as you mentioned, it will automatically increase the size as
Correct.
and when it is required. So, will it occupy the full size or just like
Yes.
only a portion of it is required? So only till that it will occupy,
No,
and the
no,
rest.
it will occupy the full size. So initial size,
Okay.
we are saying 8. So the
Hmm.
file size will be 8 MB, whether data is only 8 KB into it or 0 KB.
Okay.
Still, it will occupy 8 MB. So kind of reservation on the disk will be there. And
Okay.
the reason why this is done is because when it comes to the database systems, the data starts coming in at very high pace, especially when you are working with multi-user systems, which is a normal case today, right? Even your mobile apps are multi-user systems. Yes or no?
Yes.
So at such a high space when data is coming, we cannot wait for the database to grow and create more space, right? It will delay our actual work. There will be latency. So what we do
Okay.
is once we reach a particular checkpoint that, okay, I am full, I need more space. Instead of just increasing by the amount based on what amount of data is coming in, we just increase by a specified percentage or specified size. And until and unless we don't cross that limit, we don't need to increase it further, right? We just keep it ready.
Okay, sir.
Like for example, I start with some lodging service. Okay, some hotel I open. Initially, it's a new hotel. I don't know how much occupancy will be there, whether there will be occupancy or not. I start with a 10-room configuration. But after 6 months, I realized that the demand for the rooms at my place is high. It's increasing. I have 10 rooms, but on daily basis, requirement of at least 20 rooms is there. Okay, so I need to increase the configuration. What should I do? I just increase it to 20, or I should make it to 30, 40, or 50. What will be better? Looking at the trend, once people know that, okay, now I am having more rooms, probably if my hotel is popular, there will be more requirements coming in. So again, if I ask people that, okay, I now have 20 rooms only, you wait, I will get the configuration done, I'll have more rooms ready. Give me some time. Don't you think I would be losing my customers?
Yes. Okay.
So I have to go for little bit in preemptive manner, right? I will just do the analysis. When I had 10 rooms, what was the demand? And when I go to 20 rooms, what will be the demand and how soon it will be increasing? I may go up to 100 rooms, right? Out of which, even if 80 are occupied, I am good. I still have the scope of 20 rooms to play with. And if the demand goes beyond 80, I can make another 40 or 50 rooms ready, right?
Yes.
So that is the strategy which is followed over here. Basically, the time consumed in getting the new allocation is something which I save over here. Instead of going with the new allocation for every entry being done, I do it periodically based on the usage. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now, sometimes, though the max size you have given as unlimited, your operating system might have some limits on the maximum size of the file, correct? OS may say, I don't support more than 4 GB. OS may say, I don't support a file more than 64 GB. What will you do in such case? Switching to another database system may not help because this limit will be applicable to the other system also. Am I right?
Yes, sir. It's the physical limits, man. So
It's a physical limit. So it will be applicable to all databases. So what should be done? Can I say split the data in multiple files? If 64 GB is the limit, why not have two files of 64 GB each, or maybe 20 files of 64 GB each based on how much data I'm going to store? Correct?
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
The 64 GB is a per database, a per file limitation or the overall limitation?
Per
Speaking
file.
about.
Per file. Overall limitation will be defined by what is the amount of data you can store in that particular storage device. It could be 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 5 terabytes
Yeah, I
also,
get
right?
that. I actually thinking that you are speaking of a specific use case with 64 GB limitations.
No. So it's not about the storage device, it's about the file. Because
Okay.
most of the OS come with a limit on one file size, how big it can be. Like if I talk about 32-bit Windows system, 32-bit Windows supported a single file of not more than 4 GB. Most of the 32-bit systems had this limitation. Understood? So don't you think that will limit us in terms of how much data we can store? Definitely yes. So what we can do is create more files, distribute data in them. That will also give us better performance, as I can actually get the partitioning enabled into my tables. Location wise data is stored on different devices. So I don't need to scan the whole table. I just need to scan one partition. So one partition, suppose it contains 1 million rows, and overall I have 100 million rows. Processing 1 million will be faster, or processing 100 million will be faster?
1 million.
Of course, 1 million. So that advantage also I can get if I have data stored in multiple files with partitioning. Same table information may go in 2 or 3 or 4 files also. So retrieval will be fast, isn't it? Like in a library, your books are kept. There are two ways. Just put the books randomly. The other way is put them in categorized manner. What is better in terms of searching for the book? Better and faster. Organized or random?
Organized.
Organized.
So you got my point. You have shelves, you have sections in the shelves also labeled properly, and then you just get to that specific book pretty quickly. Am I right? No matter how big is the library. Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what is called as partitioning. Understood?
Yes.
So that same thing can be enabled. And if you are looking to add more files, here only you can say add another file. You can specify the logical name and other details you can specify here and click OK. So these all will be data files. Remember, you can add only additional the data files. You cannot change the file type there. There will be only one log file. This is okay. Now it seems that they have given the support for adding more log files also. Good. So that seems to be an improvement, right? So log files also then can be added additionally. If you don't want, I can just say remove this last row, and I'll go with the default two files, one for data, one for log, and say OK. You can see immediately the database is visible here because you did it from designer. So you don't need to refresh the designer here. It directly shows it. Yes.
So,
Tables, if you expand, it is not showing any table as of now. It's empty. Reason, we just created the database and no table we have created here as yet. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So what was our second step? Switching to the database context. So here, if I select the database, this use Providence DB is something which I can assume I have already done. Yes or no?
Yes.
Then within this database context, I tried creating a table called as departments. Can I right click table and say new table? Right click tables, select new table. And you should be on this designer screen. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And it's easy. Probably I don't need to tell you exactly what needs to be done. It's self-intuitive. Am I right?
Sir, could you please repeat where the tables
You
to write?
expand your database, Providence DB. There you will find the folder for tables. Getting it?
Yeah, got it. Thank you, sir.
Right click, new table. And you will be on the screen. What I'm supposed to put here? My first column name,
Department number.
data type, what I want. I can type or I can select from the drop down list also, correct? There is a drop down list. It's not actually drop down, it's a combo box where I can type and select both. Text box and drop down combination, that's why it is called as combo box. I don't want to allow null over here. And I also want this field to be used as a primary key. So how do I assign primary key here? Do you see this arrow at the beginning of this row?
Right click.
Right click and select set primary key. Next field. Rename in varchar 50. I don't want to allow null here. Next field is location in varchar 50 again, and it may have nulls into it. Done. Done.
Yes, sir.
Click on the save button here, save table button. The moment you click on save table button, it asks you for the name for the table. By default, it has suggested table underscore one. Definitely we don't want this. So I delete that and put the name that I want. And click OK. So here in the title of this tab, you can see the table name is visible. Your table is just created. Where do I see it? Unfortunately, it's not showing it here. It should have shown. No worries. Just select tables and click on this refresh button, or right click tables and select refresh. Your table should be visible here. Same way as we saw the details while we created this table using the script. Just showing the similar information here as well.
Sir, I'm not able to see the tables part after refreshing also.
Did you click on save?
I think I clicked on save. So what exactly do I have to select the whole column table or just save?
No. You have the designer open, right? Click
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the save button here.
yeah, and yeah, table name then department.
Table name, whatever
Yeah,
you want. In our case, it is departments, DEPTS.
yeah, yeah.
Click OK. Your table will get saved and then do a refresh.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Got it? If the table is not yet saved, it won't show up here. Okay. So basically, with this designer, what is happening is exactly the same thing what we did with code. The designer is getting that code generated and executed behind scenes. What is better, designer or code? Some of
Design.
you might say designer, some of you might say code. Practically, both are good. Practically, both are serving the purpose. There is no comparison because ultimately they are achieving the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It all depends on how much time you have got. If you need to get something designed into the database pretty quickly, say some 50 odd tables you need to create in next 1 hour. At that time, what will suit you the best? Maybe designer,
Exactly.
right? So why I said there is no comparison possible here, because designer is just doing the same thing. There is no performance or anything that can be compared here, right? Whatever input you are giving here, it is creating a script like this only behind scene and executing it. Instead of you going and writing the script, it's the tool which is doing it for you. Understood? Just that here we are able to save time and efforts. I don't need to remember the statement at all. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Even a layman can build the database table with the help of this designer. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just a felicitation over here. Let's close the table and we are back where we started. So if you select this SP tables departments and execute, you once again get the same details. SP help departments will give you the similar details as we saw earlier. Select asterisk from departments ultimately gives you the same thing that we saw earlier. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so just give me 1 second here. Okay, so here how to work with the data types and basic constraints we have already seen, right? What if I want to create the table in a specific schema? Now, before going ahead with that, we need to understand what is schema. Have you worked with any programming language so far, like C++ or Java or C Sharp?
C++.
C++.
C++, okay. Do you have any concept of namespaces in C++?
No.
We do have, right? Using
Yes,
statement is
yes.
there, namespaces is there, using namespace XYZ, and then you write some code.
Yes, it's there.
Some of you might have seen that. So those who have seen and worked with namespaces, can you throw some light on it? What exactly the namespace is and what purpose it solves or serves?
Uh, so scope definition, it helps with scope definition.
Avoids naming conflicts by providing local scopes, right?
Yes, sir.
And in what situations do we need that? Suppose I have a big
Using multiple libraries.
ERP type of application to be created. Multiple departments will have multiple modules, right?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes each module may come up with a requirement of creating some class which has got the same name as that of another class in another module, but the structure is different. Correct? Like if I talk about e-commerce, in that case, I may have a class called as employee, which has got address field into it. The address field is represented by another class called as address for this employee module or HR module. There is a class address which has got the members like current address, permanent address. Okay. Now the same company has got the e-com business, basically e-commerce business, and there is an order for which the shipping needs to be done. The shipping details will also need address. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now this address is going to be different from employee address. So I cannot reuse the employee address class, correct? Reason? Here there is no meaning of current address and permanent address. There is only one address required where the shipping needs to be done. Yes or no? Yeah, in some cases I may have shipping address and billing address, but that is again not something which can be represented as current and permanent address, right? All four things have different meanings. Yes or no?
So they have, but in C++ particularly, you could declare a class named address that can have only the address, and then we can inherit that class in the subsequent classes. And that's
Yeah, agreed, agreed. But ultimately, when you say inherit, the two classes which you will inherit from address, don't you think they will be different in terms of their composition? One will have current address and permanent address, the other one will have shipping address and billing address.
yes,
So
sir.
at the end, you have two different classes only, no?
Yep.
And maybe it would be better if I label both the classes as address. Yes or no? It will be more easy for me because there is no reusable component here that I see. Correct? How will I create two classes by the same name in the same project? Is it possible? Answer is simply no. It's not. Yes or no?
I haven't heard of the same named classes in the same projects.
Two classes with the same names within the same module, or maybe within the same project, I would say, not module. Is it possible? No, it's not. So what to do? That's where the namespaces come in. I'll create a namespace by the name of the module. One will be HRD, the other one will be probably orders. Now, HRD dot address and orders dot address, both will be two different classes, no? Technically, if I use their full name, they are two different classes altogether. Wherever both are being used, I need to use full name. Wherever only one of them is used, probably I don't need to use the full name. I just need to import the relevant namespace and I'm done. I can just say address. So whichever namespace is imported, the address from that namespace is used. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So that helps with naming conflict. That helps with easy coding, right? And the similar purpose in SQL Server is served by the feature called as schemas, right? So let's say I delete this table again. Via code also I can delete the table. I can just say drop table, table name. Drop table department should have dropped the table. Okay. So here what I want is before I create the table, I want a schema to be created. By default, it is still going in a schema only, but that is named as DBO. I don't want that. I want there must be a schema named as company. I say create schema company. Execute this. The schema is created. It's not visible anywhere here as an object because it is just a logical entity. And then while creating the table or any object that I want to be belonging to the schema named as company, I'll just make use of the fully qualified name wherever I work with it. So this allows me to have two tables named as departments created in the same database. One may be a department for one of the company, the other one may be for another company, where Basically, what scenario I'm talking about is there is a parent organization which owns two companies. Like, for example, if I talk about Reliance Industries or if I talk about Tata Group, both of them have multiple subsidiary companies. Am I right? And each company will have departments of its own. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So, would I need the tables with the similar names or same names for all the companies or not? Many times, yes, but their composition may be different, right? One company may have some columns, the other company may have some other set of columns for the same table. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Let's execute this now. Nothing changes much. It is just the schema name that I have included here. And now here, if I say refresh for the tables, see how it is displaying it. If I right click on this table and select properties, it shows me some details like database name, server name, username, schema name, what it is displaying. Company name is just department. So table name is still departments only. But it is created as a part of or as a member of the schema called as company. Now, wherever I need to use this table, I have to use the fully qualified name. The default schema, if I don't give anyone over here, is DBO. That is system created schema already. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now this table is already created. Suppose I want to add a new column to this table. How do I add that? I cannot add a not null column to a table which already has got some data. If it is empty, I can add not null column. Understand? For obvious reasons, right? If there are records that exist, if I try to add a not null column, for that column for existing rows, the nulls will be attempted to be inserted by the system and not null will conflict with that. Okay, so either your table must be empty or you first add the column as a nullable column, then update your table to have values for the existing rows for that column and then make it not null again by altering the table. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Now I want to add a column over here called as pin code. So what should I do? I use a statement alter table company dot departments. Add the new field pin code. I can say varchar. Pin code is 6 characters fixed, right? So I can use, in fact, nchar 6. Not null I can put right now because my table is empty. But if it is not null will not be supported. Statement after this and select this much of code and execute. It says it's completed successfully. Just expand the table here, columns here. Do you see pin code is added?
Yes, sir.
What if I want this location column to be made not null? And I want to increase or decrease its max length to 30 characters or 20 characters. What do I do? Again, because I want to change an existing table structure, I'll go with alter table statement company dot departments alter location and varchar 20. I want to make it not null as well. Okay. Just update after alter put column, then the new data type with new size or same data type with different size, and then any additional constraint that you want to put which is not there already. Right now, if you see location and varchar 50 null is what is displayed. Correct? I select this part, there has to be go statement. And then select and execute. Let's expand this, refresh this, and expand columns. Look at this. What it is showing. Is it updated or not?
Yes, sir, it is updated.
If there is some existing data in this column which is more than 20 characters in length, what would happen to that? It will be automatically truncated to 20 characters. The first 20 characters it will retain, the extra characters will be automatically removed. Understood?
Yes, sir.
How do I remove a column? Let's say pin code I don't want anymore. Alter column, alter table. Company dot departments. Top column pin code. That's it. Select. Okay. Go statement has to be there. Then select and execute. Now, if you refresh this, it shows the pin code column is gone. Anytime you can modify your table, right?
Sir, just one question. How did you change the schema? I got disconnected for a while in that part.
Say you have to drop your existing table and then you have to recreate it. So first you have to create the schema like this and then recreate the table like this.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Got it.
Just take a snapshot of this for your reference.
Done, sir. Thank you.
Okay. What if I want to drop the entire table? It will be drop table company dot departments and go. If I select and execute this, it will delete the table. Understood?
Yes, sir.
I'm not going ahead and dropping the table as I'm going to use it further. Just for your information, I shown you this statement. The other way around, we can just right click here and delete also. Right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. What is another possibility? I saw how to change data type, how to add additional constraint and all. What if I have further requirement where I want to fix this column with a constraint that checks that location should be either New Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai, the four main metros. Because my company operations are only in these four cities. So how do I put this constraint? And what kind of constraint this would be? Let's first put the constraint. I'll say alter table company.departments, add constraint. Constraint name has to be given. I'll say chk underscore is the name. And the type of constraint, I'll say check. What I want to check, location. I'll say location. What I want, the possible values for location must be within some given options. So I say in operator is used. Within parentheses, I say New Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata. Yeah. After check, there has to be a parenthesis, which has to be ended at the very end of the expression. I missed the parenthesis. That's why location was giving an error. And there has to be a go statement after this. Select this, execute. Refresh the columns here. It won't show up the check constraint here. But if you now go to constraints, there is one. Yes.
Yes.
Check this whether it is working or not. Insert.
It is.
Optionally, you can use into. Whether you put into or not, it doesn't matter. Insert into company.departments or insert company.departments. It's one and the same thing. Values. If you are going to insert all columns and in the same sequence as that of how they appear in the table, directly you can go for values. If you are not giving entries for all columns, or if not in the same order as that of the table structure, then you have to give the column list in parentheses before values. Like you may want D name going first, then department number, then location. So you can change that order here.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So the values that are inside, for example, New Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata, are they
Yes.
case sensitive or not?
Actually, in SQL Server, they are not case sensitive.
But what if we want to make it case sensitive? For example, if we are
For
storing.
that, you have to actually use some string functions which are provided by SQL Server.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is required in case if I'm not giving all column values or if I'm not giving in the same order as that of the original order. If I'm giving in original order, this column list is not required. Okay. So dname is required first. Let's say I make it HRD. Department number 10. Location. I put one from the accepted list. Then I copy and paste this insert statement where I say this time, let's say I'm going to put in order and all columns. So I don't use the column list. Here I say department number goes first as 20. Name is finance and legal. And then the location, let's say, is Chennai. Copy and paste the second insert statement. I change the value here to 30. Here I say name is R&D. Here I specify a name like Pune, which is not in the acceptable list, right? Right? Let's try one insert statement at a time. The first one I select, insert. It says one row is affected, completion time. Insert. The second statement also I'll try. That also worked. Let's try the third one. See what has happened. Why it failed?
It's not in the acceptable list, sir. That's why.
It is not in the accepted list of values, right? If I put one of the value in the acceptable list and execute, it just works. Where do I see the data? I can just say select asterisk from department once again. And execute. Right? If I want only rename and location, I can say rename, location. Oh, I have to select this. Oh, unfortunately, my table got deleted. Code not required. This is something which I changed. Added the constraint, then performed inserts, and then select. So only two columns are displayed. This is called as vertical filtering. And in that also, if I'm looking for only the records where department number is greater than equal to 20, I can put that. This is called as horizontal filtering. So in this particular query, vertical and horizontal, both types of filtering happening together. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, little bit of conceptual part. We just use the check constraint, right? What is the purpose or significance of constraints? Can someone answer?
Constraints are there to maintain integrity.
Absolutely. So can I say it is to ensure data integrity in the database?
Yes.
And when I said integrity, what does it mean? in general?
The accuracy, the overall accuracy with which data is being presented in the table.
There are three things: correctness, next, completeness, then acceptable by the system, right? When we are ensuring these three things, before receiving any data within the database via insert or update statement, these are the only two statements which accept data inside, right? So whenever we are ensuring these three things, we say we are actually applying data integrity. Yes or no? Correct data
Yes.
has to go. Partial data should not be allowed. It should be complete. Like if I need 4 characters, I need 4 characters. I cannot go ahead with 2. Then acceptable by system, where some rules might be there, like check constraint that we used. Correct? So Pune was actually correct. It was actually complete also. But the third pointer, acceptable by system, that was getting violated, right? In our case, the acceptable values by the system were New Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So any one of this, if it is getting violated, the data should not enter the system. That's a data integrity violation. Correct? Yes. Like when you go to office, do you need to carry your ID card or not? Mandatorily. Yes. If you are not carrying, you are treated as a visitor. Am I right? Then there is a different process. You need to make some entries. Maybe if it is a common shared premises, there is a common security. There you have to make entry. Then within your own organization premises also you have to make the entry. Like I've forgotten the I card and for so and so reason, and that's why I'm requesting a temporary pass or something, which has to be approved by the manager in most of the cases. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Depends. I mean, different organizations may have different policies, but something similar is needed. What is it? If you're not following any of these things, you're violating the integrity of the company, right? That's the same thing applicable here when it comes to the data. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, if I talk about types of integrity, can you throw some light on that? What are the types of integrity?
Referential integrity, primary key, foreign key.
Okay. Referential integrity is one. Next,
It can be the data type integrity, like a domain integrity, that the attributes
we
must
do
have a
have domain
defined.
integrity. That's right. Then
If I'm not wrong, there was a custom integrity. I think the user can define something like that.
Okay. There is nothing called as custom integrity as such. There is custom constraint. Whatever custom constraint you create, that falls in one of these types of integrity options only. Mostly domain integrity is something where the custom integrity, what you are saying, comes in. Understand?
All right. Yeah.
So we have mainly three types. It actually starts the other way around. This has to be the first one, entity integrity, followed by domain integrity, followed by referential integrity. And let's talk about what they are and what is the difference between them. When I say entity integrity, here I first need to understand what is the meaning of an entity. Anyone knows what is entity?
Entity can be synonymous to a real world object.
Correct. So in our example, can I say my department's table actually is an entity? Table is not entity. I would say one record of the department that is getting stored in the department's table is entity. Yes or no? Like this is my first record. This is my second record. These records are entities. You get it?
Yes, sir.
Each entity will have attributes. In our case, if we are using the terminology like tables, rows, columns, the attributes are represented by various columns. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So how entity integrity is applied here? First, data types. Second, primary or unique keys. Or in some cases, both. One column primary, another column unique. Like in our case, for department's table, department name cannot be repeated, correct? If I already have a department named as HRD, I cannot have another department named as HRD. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So, department number obviously will be primary key. But department name can be created as an unique key column. Am I right? In addition to the primary key. Yes or no?
Yes.
How do I add that now? Alter table, company dot departments, add constraint, unique underscore rename, type of the constraint, unique, and then the parenthesis which contain the field on which this needs to be applied. Can I say dname? Done. Here, if I refresh, my table is there, I expand columns and then constraints. The name must be defined as unique somewhere. I go to properties here. Primary key, it shows false. Okay, here it's not showing. Just right click the table and select design. So I go back to the design mode. I select dname. That's interesting. Here the unique index it is showing. Unique constraint also it shows somewhere. Anyways, no problem. As far as the index it is showing unique, it's unique column actually. The unique key has been assigned. So that's the statement. If I want to remove any constraint, I just need to use alter table name, drop constraint name. It will drop that constraint. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So you understand what is entity integrity. I need to identify any any entity uniquely. Like you have, you all are using company laptop, right? Can you
Yes.
check on the top or the bottom if there is any sticker with something called as asset tracking number or something similar? Just turn around and check.
Yes, sir, we do have.
Beside that, if it is like Dell laptop, there must be another sticker from Dell labeled as service tag number. If it is HP, it may have serial number or something. Just check. It must be at the bottom. Yes.
Yes, sir, there are.
What is the significance of these two stickers?
For maintenance to track the device.
At the company level, which device is with whom? Allotted to whom? There is asset tracking number, which your company has put, right? Against that number, your name must be maintained somewhere in their ERP, correct? So anytime they can locate where the device is. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
If they need to recall for any reason, so once they get the asset tracking number, they can find out who is having it, and accordingly the mail or the call or SMS or WhatsApp message can come to the concerned person that this laptop is recalled. Correct? Correct.
Yes, sir.
What is the significance of service tag number? I hope all laptops are Dell laptops, right? Dell uses the term service tag number. So what is the use of that? That is for Dell. In case if there is some hardware issue and your laptop is in warranty and the support needs to be provided directly by Dell. Dell will identify the system not by the company asset tracking number, but by the service tag number. Even if you use your personal laptop, which is from Dell, there must be a service tag number on that as well. Your mobile phone also has got a serial number, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So that they identify which device it is, what parts are used, and if any part needs to be replaced, which make and model needs to be used for that. Correct.
Yes, sir.
So can I say in your ERP, your company's ERP, for the assets, the asset tracking number must be the primary key and service tag number must be the unique key, both of which cannot be repeated, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
So that's what entity integrity is. I can zero in on which entity I'm talking about if primary and unique keys are used. At least one of them is being used, right? Right.
Yep. Yep. Yes, sir.
Now tell me, what is domain integrity? So for that, once again, we need to understand what is domain. Domain means, in general,
A niche, a particular area.
particular area,
A specified set.
specified set or specific set. Range also sometimes we use, right? So when I say domain integrity, when does it come into picture? In fact, we have just seen the example for that. Did we not provide the specific set as acceptable values? I could have
Yes.
also used between and operator over here if I want to do it on department number. I know that there would be 10 departments only, and according to the values which I've given here, I see each department number is in multiples of 10. So can't I say that the acceptable values are between 10 and 100? Like I could say, check department number between 10 and 100. That will be a range. This is specific set. What we have already seen is specific set, right? That's what domain integrity is. And domain integrity is most of the time will be applied using check constraint. And this is mostly the customized requirement only. Applications need, correct?
Yes, sir.
Like if I talk about railway reservation date has to be greater than equal to today and not more than, I don't know what is the current limit they are giving. The last thing which I knew was 4 months window was there. I mean, I could book the ticket in advance before exact 4 months of the travel date, right? So I can say 0 to 120 days. So today's date plus 120 days is what the acceptable values of the reservation date are. Yes, that is also domain integrity. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is referential integrity? Referential, the term comes from reference. So we already have a table called as department. Departments has got department number, name, location, then HRD, Mumbai, 20. I'll just say finance here, Chennai. 30 is R&D, Kolkata. Okay. Now I have to create another table called as employees, which has got employee number as primary key, name, and then I want to put that employee in some department. Let's say employee number 1, name X, 2, name Y, 3, Z, 4, A, 5, B, 6, C. What are the acceptable values in this department number column here? Can I put just anything?
10, 20, and 30.
Can I put 100?
No,
Why?
it's not in the previous table.
There is no department called as department number 100, right? Not put the employee in a non-existing department. I believe that's what you mean. Correct?
Yeah,
It has to be either 10 or 20 or 30. So let's say this goes in 10, this goes in 10, this goes in 30, followed by 20, 30 again. And this employee is a new employee and the department is not yet decided. Can I put null there? Null is also acceptable. You keep it null, or if you give value, that value must belong to this column of this table. If I look at the state over here, I am conforming to the rule. Here it is null, that's okay. When I have the value, it is belonging to this table. Correct? For this, don't you think I'm referring for the acceptable values over here to the values of a column from another table? I'm referring, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In earlier case with domain integrity, we provided a list of values here only. But in this case, tomorrow if I add a department with number 100, 100 would also be acceptable there onwards, right?
Yes, sir.
So instead of having hard-coded values, I'm referring to a table and a column within that table. If the value exists there, I accept it here. If the value doesn't exist, I don't accept it here. In that case, the other possibility is to keep that particular value null in that row. Correct? This is what we call as referential integrity. So usually after normalization, when you have the related tables created with one to many, one to one, many to many relationships, that's where this referential integrity will come into existence. Do you get it?
Yes.
Understood? So after the break, we will see, domain integrity and entity integrity we have already seen. We have seen primary key, we have seen unique key, We have seen domain integrity with this. So the only example which is pending here is this referential integrity, right? We'll go for a break. After the break, I'll show you how the referential integrity can be used. Basically, you need foreign key here. So it's more about understanding how the foreign key constraint is put. Understood?
Yes, sir.
And another thing that we will be discussing after the break will be the indexing concept in SQL Server. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll resume at 4:05. 20 minutes break it is. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Thank you.